We have two electrodes, yes. We have two electrodes. We have a positive electrode when it comes to electricity. We have a positive and we have a negative. Negative and positive. The positive is called anode. Anode is called positive. And the negative is called cathode. Negative is with the black color, positive is with red color. They are going to two probes or electrodes. One is the positive and the other one is negative. Negative electrode, positive electrode. So this one is called, the whole process, ladies, is this is negative, this is positive. Positive is anode, negative is cathode. Positive and negative. The whole process, this whole process is galvanic. It is not Tesla. Tesla current, as we talk, Tesla current is the positive, negative, positive, negative. They are changing the polarity from positive, negative. This is the Tesla, keep changing. And the one that comes positive and negative, this is called galvanic. So the whole process is under the galvanic. So the whole thing is called galvanic. Okay, now we have positive and we have negative. And then we have some ions. Ions are particles that they have electric charge. We have some positive ion, some negative ion, positive and negative. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. The electrode that goes toward anode, they are negative. The negative goes toward anode. The positive goes toward cathode. The one that is going to the positive, the reference is this positive. So the negative, it is negative, but we call it an ion. It is negative, but we call it an ion. The one that goes to the negative, attract to the negative, it is positive, goes to the cathode, and we call it cation. Okay? So cation and anion. Negative goes toward this, positive goes toward negative. So we call it anion and we call it cation. The whole process, when we have this ion structure that they are working, the whole process is called iontophoresis. Iontophoresis means when we are using the electricity, positive and negative, and we are pushing this particle with the charges, the whole thing is called iontophoresis. Iontophoresis. Let me go to another terms that is called saponification. What is saponification? Just have this in mind: anode, cathode, and iontophoresis. What is saponification? Saponification or saponification is the process when we mix fat or oil, mostly fat, when we mix this with an alkaline, or it's called lye. When we mix fat and alkaline together, what we get, ladies? We get soap. Fat and alkaline, if you mix them together, you get soap. It's called saponification. So if you want to make soap, you need just to add alkaline, which is called lye, plus fat from animal, from whatever, and when you mix them, you are making soap, which is called saponification. So now we have this item of saponification, and also we know a little bit about iontophoresis. Now I have on the skin. I have a skin, and then inside the skin, under the skin, I have a follicles. Okay? Inside the follicles, I have oil, which is called, what is called this oil? Is called sebum. Okay, now I have oil, which is called sebum. And when this sebum, they are impacted, they are clogged, they are congested, we have clogged, yes? And when it is clogged, we call this comedones. So now I have a comedones. The comedone is when the fat or the sebum, they are impacted. We have closed comedones and we have open comedones. Closed comedones is when the opening of this comedone is clogged with some dirt and some other things, so we call it closed comedone. And open comedone, when the opening of this sebum or follicle is open and the sebum is exposed to the air, oxidized, and becomes kind of blackish color, and we call it black comedone or closed comedone. The problem with this comedone, when you want to extract it, ladies, there is a big problem. And the problem is they are very thick, they are very condensed, and it's not easy to extract them. So that's what's happened. When you want to extract the comedones of people, the clients, the problem is you traumatize the skin because the comedones are deep, they are compacted, they are congested, and it's not easy to soften these comedones. You are using steamer to make this comedone a little loose. A steamer, you are using peeling, salicylic acid, you are using everything to make these comedones a kind of softened so you can extract it. Okay? Do you remember we talked about saponification or saponification? So when we have saponification, to make the soap, we need fat or fat plus alkaline. Yes, if I can have fat plus alkaline, then I have this kind of soap. Guess what? Now I have fat here. Is this fat? Yes. What if I add some alkaline or dye to this? Alkaline, what if I have some alkaline to this? What's happened? Let's see if I add some alkaline to this mixture. Then I have some alkaline, or it's called lye or alkaline. And if I can mix this alkaline with this sebum, which is fat, what do I get? Soap. I get soap. Yes? Isn't that amazing? You are making soap out of sebum. That is so interesting, isn't it? It is so interesting. That's so genius, the one who came with this idea. So that we have sebum, which is fat, which is congested, which is compacted fat. If I can mix some alkaline or lye to this sebum, then I have soap, and then it becomes very soft and very easy to extract. Yes. Now I have these things. Alkaline, ladies, it has negative electricity. Acid is positive, alkaline is negative. Yes. So I have negative alkaline. Now let's go back to the anode and cathode and anode and cathode and iontophoresis. What if I give the cathode, this is the negative, yes? What if I give the positive electrode to the client? Now my client has the positive electrode of a galvanic machine. I have the positive is now my client has positive in hand of galvanic machine. The positive is here. Esthetician has negative electrode of the galvanic machine. Now the electricity is running. What's happened? This is positive. The electric charge of this alkaline is negative. What's happened? This alkaline, this negative electric charge, they are absorbing, mixing, they get toward the positive because they are negative. And now they are mixing alkaline plus sebum, and now I have a kind of soapy things, and makes the sebum, makes the comedones extremely soft. So what kind of alkaline we can use here? We can use baking soda. Baking soda is alkaline, yes? If you use baking soda and use a galvanic machine, the positive in the hand of the clients, so the whole body of clients is positive. The negatives with the esthetician. Now the clients has negative electrode. What's happened to these negative baking soda molecules? They moved toward the positive electrode, which is the body of the client. And now we have this negative, and now this sebum that used to be compacted, now it is extremely soft and is kind of soapy. And when you are using this for a couple of minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be much. Now the same sebum and the same comedone that was very hard to extract, that was very hard to get out of the follicle, is so soft. And it's getting off of the follicle very easy. So what is call it? The reference of the calling this is the body of the client. So my body of the client now has positive electrode, yes? This is positive electrode. Let me change this color to red, which is positive. So it is positive electrode. The body of the client is positive electrode. So what I call it anaphoresis. Let me put it here. Because that was anode, I call it anaphoresis. Anaphoresis is when the client has the positive electrode, because my reference is the body of the client. So do we have cataphoresis? Yes, definitely we have cataphoresis. Probably, ladies, you've heard about the serum, yes, or ampules. The serum or ampules, there are serum, yes, and you want them to bypass the protection and the barrier layer of the skin, isn't it? Yes. If you want to push them into the skin, so far we know there are a few techniques that you can push the serum inside the skin. One of them was if you use peeling. Let's say I have some serum here, positive, negative. These are positive serum. The ampules, the factories, the manufacturers that they are making serum, specifically ampules, they have some, they tell you on the box that their serum has negative or positive. So now I have positive and negative. One way to push this serum into the skin was to do a microdermabrasion or peeling, remove the surface of the skin, the very superficial layer of the skin. One way was to cover them with the mask and push the mask. One way was to cover with them paraffin mask. Paraffin mask heat it up, so when they heat push them inside the skin. Now, what if I use another technique? What if I use this iontophoresis? and use the same technique, use the galvanic machine. Now I have galvanic machine. The galvanic machine I have is the client has positive electrode and esthetician has negative electrode. Esthetician has negative electrode and client has positive electrode. What's happened? Now the negative ion that in the previous example was baking soda, because we wanted to make this sebum soft. But now we don't want that. We wanted this serum to penetrate into the skin. So I have this negative, they are getting into the skin. Now these negative ions, which happen to be the serum for treatment, now these negatives moves toward the skin. Isn't that amazing? It's super, super amazing. What if I change the polarity? Instead of this, the body of the client be positive. Now I have the body of the client negative. Switch the negative. The body of the client now is the negative and esthetician holds the positive electrode. Now what's happened? Now the body is negative, outside is positive. Now the positive ion or positive serum molecules get into the skin. So what is called? The negative electrode used to, we call it cathode. Because as we said, the reference is the body of the client. So this is cathode. And now if it is negative, we call it cataphoresis. Cataphoresis. And in many serum ampules that they are not cheap, they are a little pricey, the serum, they are mixing negative and positive. Let's say they have vitamin C, for instance. Vitamin C is acid, isn't it? Yes, it is acid. And acid is positive. So if you want to infuse the acid to the body, then you are using what? Negative, you are using cataphoresis. You can infuse acid into the skin with this positive and negative. In the case of saponification and softening the sebum inside these hair follicles, the molecules of baking soda, they are big. They cannot pass the skin. They can mix with the sebum, but they cannot pass the skin. So when you are using baking soda for saponification or for sebum or for softening the sebum, the baking soda molecule, they cannot pass the skin. They only mix with the sebum. Anaphoresis, cataphoresis, the whole process is called iontophoresis. Saponification, mixing baking soda or any alkaline with the sebum is called saponification. For the other serum molecules treatment, when you have those things, you can use again the galvanic machine. The galvanic depend to the positive or negative. The client hold the positive or the client hold the negative. The reference is the one that is in the client's hand. So it's called anaphoresis or cataphoresis. If the client has positive, it's anaphoresis. If the client has negative, it's called cataphoresis. So what is the problem with this saponification? Let's say putting baking soda to the skin and then you are making, let me clean this and go back to the only saponification or to softening the sebum. Now I have baking soda. Let's say these are baking soda, alkaline on the surface of the skin. Baking soda on the surface of the skin. So I have baking soda negative and happily I went and I did soften this sebum and now the sebum is soft and I can get the sebum extract them very easily off of the skin. It's so amazing. What else do we have on the surface of the skin that we can damage it? There is another component on the surface of the skin. Do you remember, ladies, we talked about the layer of the skin. Let me do it with the black. The layer of the skin, we used to have stratum corneum. Yes, stratum corneum. Different stratum corneum here. Do you remember what was in between the stratum corneum that sealed the skin of the stratum corneum? We have a fat layer that seals the space between cells. Yes? The fat that seals the space between cells. Now, what are they? They are fat. What's happened to them? When they are mixed with alkaline, with this galvanic machine, yes, I soften the sebum. What's happened to this fat? I damaged this fat too. And that's why using the galvanic machine or desincrustation. So this process is called desincrustation, ladies, also. This desincrustation. The whole process of softening the sebum is called desincrustation. Yes, I did soften the sebum and comedones. Now I can extract them very easy from the follicle. But at the same time, I damaged this fat layer in between cells. Then I have to make the skin replenish with the fat layer. Otherwise, the skin becomes extremely dry. So the complication of this desincrustation is dry skin. And the reason is this lipid layer is called lipid layer of the skin, which is fat, and this fat also mixed with the baking soda or alkaline, and this fat also loose, which is not our purpose, but it's happened as side effect of desincrustation.